Vashon Holdings proudly presents Warwick Radio Chats with ring announcer Joseph Hearn.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to War of Week Boxing. Happy Sunday to all of you guys. If you're, practicing your Lenten period, if you're a wacky Catholic like myself, happy Lenten Sunday to you guys, as well as happy St. Patrick's Day. So I guess anyone who is practicing that, boy, they're not having a drink tonight. Oh, the poor Irish. Well, I tell you what, guys, welcome to War Week Boxing, guys. And we had a very interesting weekend in which, obviously, the big winner, chicken dinner, was William Zepeda, which we projected he would be. And why? Well, because Maxie Hughes has never been regarded as a big puncher. He's a good boxer, has good skill. He showed that against George Kambosos, in which I thought he should have gotten the victory. But look, and this is why everyone, including Oscar De La Hoya, as well as William Zepeda and Coach Panda, they believe he can be the guy to beat up Shakur Stevenson. Well, it's because William Zepeda, like him or not, guys, and how can you not like him? The guy is made for TV. He's outstanding. He's going to force you to fight. Okay, he's not just a counterpuncher who waits on you. He is going to bring the action. He lets his balls hang in the ring. And it's a joy to watch. Well, metaphorically speaking anyway, but he's must-see TV. It's so much fun, guys. And he is a fighter in this era of safety first, entitled bitches in boxing. Yeah, he's a breath of fresh air, guys. And I'm very high on William Zepeda. And we'll talk about certain hypocrisy. And my brother G Funky pointed this out to me. I have to laugh. And we'll talk about his, and he's always funny when he points out the hypocrisy of diehard fight fans, fanboys. I don't know what you call them, platform promotional propagandists. Is that what you call them? But it's funny. He was telling me earlier that not all of the fanboys who are pom-pom wavers and high on William Zepeda, yeah, these same guys are detractors of David Benavidez. And he goes, hey, did you notice, though, that they fight in a nearly similar style? Just one's at 68 and the other one is at 35. Big volume, hard-punching southpaw that, kind of lays the wood to all these pillow-fisted guys who are boxers and they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to fight on the inside. And William Zepeda or Dave Benavidez does the same thing. But, it's funny. They're heralding William Zepeda and waving the pom-poms for him. And they're basically, with the same fighter, Dave Benavidez, they're actually criticizing, oh, who's he fought? Who's he fought? He hasn't fought anybody. Yeah. So all the same arguments that you can use to criticize and cast aspersions towards Dave Benavidez, you can actually apply those to William Zepeda, but they won't. They don't. And I will never understand that, guys. Look, I'm going to say this right now. That is gay, guys. That is just downright gay. Dude, if you want, I didn't know that homosexuals actually like to watch boxing. But anyone who considers themselves a diehard fight fan, but casts aspersions and are shitting on right now Thurman and Tszyu and are hoping that PBC tanks on Amazon Prime, but are pom-pom wavers for DAZN, a much more limited platform. Look, guys, if you're choosing promotional platforms or promotional entities or certain fighters because they fight for a certain promoter over another platform of boxing, keep in mind, guys, this is the same sport and we all share the same fans, as G Funky knows because he's in this business now. This is a symbiont industry in which we're all expected to pull our weight and work together. So what is up with these gay fans? That's just gay, dude. And I'm going to say it. Yes. Hey, we're not politically correct on this show. But I will say this, guys. I have to be politically correct when I say this. Hey, I want to thank a new sponsor on board. Used to be one of our old sponsors. And we just renewed our relationship and sponsorship with the incomparable Affordable Dentures corporate franchise. Boy, I tell you what, dozens of locations around the country. And please go visit for your dental care or dentures or implants. Or if you're just, improving your cosmetic smile, go visit Affordable Dentures and Implants, guys. There's one near you. And they always do great work. And like the logo states, Affordable Dentures. Once again, a lot of our prize fighters are in dire need of affordable dentures after they finish with boxing. So, guys, that's right up our alley. Anyway, we want to thank you guys at Affordable Dentures for supporting Warweek Boxing, as well as just all of our prize fighters and the competition and pugilism and professional prize fighting. So thank you guys for all of your support. Anyway, excuse me. I just had to get that out of the way, guys, because it's been really bugging me. And I thought it was funny that G-Funky pointed that out to me. Always one of the sharpest knives in the YouTube drawer by far. And that's why he's actually an active participant in this business now. And my hat's off to him. The business is much better off with him in it, representing fighters. And he's a guy who shoots from the hip. And he is always very truthful and full of integrity. And he's always looking out for the best for prize fighters, whether they realize it or not, whether they take his advice or not. Oh, boy. I tell you what, guys. So we're going to talk about the fallout. We're also going to talk about the first episode of Keith Thurman. Tszyu. I'm sorry, did I say Tszyu? Looks just like him, Tim Tszyu, as well as Rolly Romero, Pitbull Cruz. It's called, let's see, what was it called again? Gloves Off, I think is what it's called. The production value is great. First rate, guys. But you can tell it's geared towards a new mainstream and casual demographic, because this is all common knowledge. I mean, if you watched PBC when it first formed on CBS or on Fox or on NBC, we've already seen these stories, guys. We've already seen these stories with Ben Getty, the late Ben Getty, right? Keith Thurman's first trainer, as well as Keith Thurman talking about his career in the amateurs, him becoming a world champion at 47, him being the stalwart at 47 after Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, basically retired. And even though Manny Pacquiao was still around, he beat Keith Thurman, handed him his first loss as a pro. Well, I mean, this is all old news. You can tell it's targeted towards a new audience. They don't give a shit what you guys think anymore. And we've been telling you that this was coming unless you started purchasing and financially supporting, at least subscribing to these things. But it's obvious they're trying to get new appeal to a much larger mainstream and casual demographic. And we told you guys this was coming, because look at the calendar. On July 20th, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Then we're going to get, and it's going to be announced very soon, Conor Benn. And no, not the one that we just recently saw in Vegas. You're going to see the scrambled egg version of Conor Benn versus Manny Pacquiao. That's coming, guys. And then we're also going to see, probably announced around the same time, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Terrence Crawford at 160. That's, from what I've been told, it's all but done. And he's doing this to try and prepare for Canelo Alvarez at 68. And I think he has a fair chance of getting that fight if he doesn't price himself out. But hey, guys, enough of that, though. We're going to get back to that. We're going to go through the calendar. And there's a dark horse, a fight that no one is talking about, which I think is going to be fight of the year. And we're going to find out. This, to me, is one that should be circled on everyone's calendar. And I don't know why anyone's No one's talking about this. I have no idea. And it's going to come up very soon in just a couple of weeks. It's going to be on April 6th at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? And it's Richardson Hitchens, undefeated, versus undefeated knockout artist from Argentina, 29-0 with 19 knockouts, Gustavo Lemos. This guy is a killer. He's the truth, guys. You remember he's the one who sent Lee Selby into retirement and then blasting out Javier Clavero in one round? Oof, boy, he's a beast. This guy is a beast, and I can't wait. He's going to get the most out of Richardson Hitchens. So, honestly, I can't believe no one is talking about this, guys. But, hey, so anyway, guys, if anyone has, I'm feeling kind of saucy today. If anyone has their headphones, go ahead, guys. Click on it. Let's chat about this, and we can talk about anything you guys want, because I'll be on the air for another, I don't know, an hour or so. Well, check this out. Thank you once again, Blue Eyes, for visiting. You sound like Steve Kim without the lisp and with much better skin. You got to get Mario Lopez on the show. Unfortunately, I can't afford him at this time. Well, maybe with the support of affordable dentures, but you know what? If I'm paying money out, I'm going to get someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable. Wouldn't you? I tell you what, since the absence of James Gogi, and I'm sad to announce, guys, that we're going to be doing videos and chats with James Gogi, but he's never going to do a live show again unless the conditions are appropriate. And I'm sad to say that, but that's per James Gogi. He's very busy these days, and you're going to see his two best prospects from León, Mexico. You're going to see him on a big Golden Boy card soon, very soon, because they just started working with power attorney and manager Mike Miller. Yeah. And he had a couple fighters on the card last night. One of them was Floyd Schofield. The other one was Tristan Kalkruth. Both got victories. Tristan looked amazing, getting a second-round knockout with that perfect left hook. That was beautiful. And everyone's calling him a future world champion in the heavyweight division, even though he looks like a basketball player, especially one from the 70s. I mean, he's got that fro and everything, and looks like you could imagine him with the headband across the forehead. But, yeah, I've heard that before, though, Blue Eyes. I sound like Steve Kim. But I assure you, you couldn't light a match on my face like you could old Kim. And no, so we're looking to fill the vacancy every Sunday. So I just want to ask you that. If you have any ideas or who would you like me to pair with on Sunday? Now, once again, it's got to be a trainer who can break down the X's and O's. Look, I can't say like Coach Gogi because there's no one like Coach Gogi. The last guy who could do it, in my opinion, comparable to Coach Gogi, was the late great Emmanuel Stewart. And that's what I often will call Coach Gogi, is the Filipino Emmanuel Stewart, right? Because by myself, I'm starting to make this show sound a lot like American Top 40. Billboard ranks them, 1840 counts them down. And now, the next hit from Mariah Carey. Hold on. AG64, Gogi is all talk? Oh, boy. Certainly you just don't know Coach Gogi. Somebody that's from Texas. Yes, I am from Texas. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, to be exact. Yeah, so come down if you're in South Texas area. Oh, boy. Oh, and be still my heart, guys. A dear old friend of mine who has several different very popular channels in which you get some very interesting chat. It's my pleasure to welcome at this time the incomparable H Money. H Money, how you doing, my friend?
Yo, what's up, Joseph? How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Oh, I tell you what, man, just enjoying life. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, brother.
Man, thank you, man. Thanks for opening the platform for everybody. I appreciate you, Joseph. First of all, always supported me, came to my platform, and you gave us a lot of great boxing knowledge, even when we didn't want to hear it, bro. You know what I mean? So I just want to say thank you. And I apologize. Sometimes I know it gets kind of heated on my side and things like that. Sometimes we be hard-headed and we don't want to listen to the truth. You know what I mean? I just want to say thank you, Joseph, and I appreciate all the great content that you give the boxing fans.
Hey, you know what? You as well, my friend, and nothing but respect on my side, brother. I've always had respect for your hustle, everything you do, and especially your infectious passion for the fight game. I wish everyone had your brand of passion for our beloved boxing, because it's we are becoming the last of the Mohicans, according to statistics. The only ones who sub, the only ones who actually financially support has dwindled down to, listen to this, according to Tim Bradley and ESPN, has dwindled down to about 250,000 diehard fans left that actually financially support the product still. So that's why you're seeing fight cards like Tyson versus Jake Paul happening, Manny Pacquiao versus Conor Benn. That's why you're going to be seeing, that's why we see circus events. But I'll tell you what, though, thank you, H Money, for popping in. But that's, tell you what, guys, that's a big problem. That is a huge, huge problem, guys. And you know what? It's been a while. I think after I'm finished, I'm going to jump over to H Money. I'm going to continue this conversation. I want to see what fans have to say about it. So here's a gentleman who's going to be competing in the, no, I'm kidding. It sounds almost Asian, his moniker. He goes, what did you do to Ring IQ? LOL. Aside from point out the obvious that he's a fraud, he's never worked a day in this business, doesn't know anything about the business, and he's a pom-pom waver. Other than that, nothing much. You know what? Robert Garcia would be excellent, but he's so busy and he already has his own podcast. But yes, I spoke to him recently about that, and he would love to come on, but he doesn't think he could do it every Sunday. And I need someone who's going to be able to commit every Sunday, like Rick Glazier is available to us every Monday. And Ronnie Shields is available to us every Tuesday. You know, what do you guys think about Rolly's trainer, who's going to be competing here on the 30th? Coach Bullet, Cromwell Gordon. What do you guys think of him? He's always very outspoken, never pulls any punches, very astute. What do you guys think about Coach Bullet? Let me know your thoughts, guys. And Sly as the Beat, welcome to the show, sir. And he says, damn, I missed the coach. Yeah. He's one of my best friends in this business, and we're still in touch and we still talk all the time. But yeah, it's just one of those things, brother. My brother G Funky, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. I was just your ears must have been burned. I was just talking about you in the outset of the show. And my brother Lance Meyer, thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. But guys, we have a lot to cover in this short amount of time. Heidel, you know what? That's an idea. Nonito, like he was just on Fight Hub TV with Rich Murata, covering a fight card that G Funky has been promoting as of late, and that was the fight card in Stockton with Flores Jr. AJ 64. Okay, brother. Look, Rick has his own agenda, but he's a real dude, and I will vouch for him all day long. With over 60 clients around the world. Yeah, he's been in this business for over 35 years, something to that effect. And I've done business with him several times in the past. And he's a real guy. Like, he's legit. So I will vouch for him all day long. And that's how we met, was just doing business with mutual promoters. And there it is. But you know what? Nonito did a great job last night. He's going to do a great... Roberto Diaz. You know what? I like Roberto Diaz, but you know what? I don't know if that'd be appropriate having Rick Glazier and Roberto Diaz in consecutive nights. They don't like each other very much. Oh well, guys, we'll get to that back a little bit later. But guys, let's talk about William Zepeda once again. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. Is he the truth? And do you think, from what I've been told, this fight is possible for Newark, New York? I think possibly in June or July. What do you guys think? I think, honestly, that's a great fight. And I can see this fight taking place. There's nothing stopping it. It's not like William Zepeda is a huge ticket seller. It's not like he'll be demanding a whole lot of money. And he is now the mandatory challenger for Shakur Stevenson's WBC lightweight title. Guys, how do you think that fight plays out? Because once again, Shakur Stevenson is one of the best technically proficient fighters in boxing. He's gifted, guys. He is really good at controlling range. Look, stop it, brother, right now, AJ. Because I can tell you right now, he doesn't get paid. He doesn't take commission like most managers or promoters. He doesn't take commission from fighters. He gets paid from either the managers or the promoters. He doesn't take any money directly from fighters. Okay? He doesn't get paid directly from fighters. And I know that for a fact because I've done business with him. He gets paid by the promoter or by the manager or by whomever he does business with, a benefactor, attorney, whatever. But he does not take money directly from fighters. I can tell you that with great certainty. Hey, Peter, welcome to the show, sir. Fancy meeting you here. And just talking to you on Twitter. And, Peter, not only is he a virtuoso guitar player, but very sharp, very sharp. Click, clack. Welcome to the show, sir. Why'd you have a long break, Joe Jose? Well, I was busy with a lot of things, including, just having surgery. Yeah. But, guys, this is going to be a consistent thing. We are back on the air, but we are still working on trying to get a Sunday, I don't want to say replacement for James Gogi because there is no replacement for James Gogi. But I was just posing the question, who should we invite to help us break down and analyze matchups, right? Because Gogi is the very best. So who's comparable? You think maybe Abel Sanchez would be he's a dear friend of mine as well. Think Abel would do a good job on Sunday. I know he'd do a great job, and he loves to talk. And he still keeps an eye on boxing, even though he's no longer in the business. What do you think about Abel? I would love to have Coach Bullet as well, who's going to be competing with Rolly Romero. He's going to be in the East Chief Second on March 30th. Now let's go back to Peter. He says, Zepeda's work rate. Yeah, he could beat Tank. Will Tank fight him is the question. In my opinion, I didn't even bring up Tank. The question here is Shakur Stevenson. Because I think Tank makes him look like a bobblehead on game day at Dodger Stadium. That's what I think. I agree. Abel is cool. I think Tank beats him 9 times out of 10 because he's got that power. Once again, guys, William Zepeda is going to force you to fight. Like you can't just, you know what? Blue Eyes, you're right. You are right. He is with Ismail Salas now, isn't he? Hey, more the merrier. Hey, he can help us analyze and let us know whether or not Rolly has a legitimate chance to beat Pitbull Cruz. I don't think so. I think Pitbull's going to knock him out. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to work on that, and we'll get Coach Bullet next Sunday. You are right. He's no longer with Rolly, is he? Thank you, Blue Eyes. I appreciate that, brother. Bob Santos is a great trainer, and he's a dear friend of ours as well. We'd love to have Bob Santos, and he works with Ronnie Shields with Dave Morrell Jr. as well. That's a very, very good suggestion as well, Heido. Thank you, brother. Clicklock says, Pitbull gave Tank hell. Not as close as Sean Gibbons claimed, but still Tank had of course. One, he broke his left hand, or was it his right hand? Broke his right hand? He broke his left hand. And he was basically, he won the fight with the jab and his footwork alone. In my opinion. And plus, guys, look, Pitbull is shorter, lower center of gravity, has no neck. I don't think you can hurt Pitbull Cruz. And William Zepeda lets his hands go a lot more frequently. Once again, guys, this is why I think both, and I was observing this last night. Okay, El Cuatro. He says broken hand was fake news. Guys, look, Sugar Hill's a great one. Javen is one of them. Well, not so much anymore. We don't talk nearly as much as we used to, but Javen, I met him through when I was working with Emmanuel, and yeah, Javen's one of my best friends in this business. So I don't think, though, he has the time. Sometimes he's in the UK, sometimes he's in Florida. It all depends. Sometimes he's in Michigan, sometimes he's in Vegas. He floats around a lot, so I don't know if he'd be reliable for Sunday. Stacy McKinley. Awesome, brother. Stacy McKinley. Maybe. I thought oh, geez. You know what? Before I say anything, I have to check that, though. But going back to Click Clack's comments, look, Pitbull Cruz does not throw nearly as much as William Zepeda. I was noticing this, guys. And once again, I go back to what Emmanuel Stewart always professed, right? What he always professed. He said, look, when you combine volume with power, you ultimately sacrifice speed. So when you're letting your hands go that frequently and you sacrifice punch, or when you sacrifice, speed, you combine volume, heavy volume with hard punches, right? You sacrifice speed. That means you're slower than molasses compared to someone who's explosive, who combines speed with power, like Tank Davis. And you're going to give him a lot of opportunities and not nearly as fast. That's why I think Tank, in my opinion, it's tea time for Tank. Look, Click Clack, you've got the beat. Emmanuel Stewart was the greatest. This is why I'm so high on Gogi. He's the only guy who is comparable to Emmanuel in terms of breaking down styles and coming up with winning strategies. Emmanuel lived for that stuff. And I learned everything about it. Everything that I've learned about it is from either Emmanuel, Ronnie Shields, or the incomparable James Gogi. They taught me so much, guys. I received a lifetime of knowledge just in the short time that I was under the tutelage of the great Emmanuel Stewart. Not only about the X's and O's in the ring, but about this business. And honestly, I miss the man every day. Everything about Emmanuel Stewart was great. Everything. And he loved his fighters, even though they didn't always do what they were told and do what they were asked to do. And they often they sometimes allowed other people to get in their ear, but that never steered Emmanuel away from doing the right thing with everybody. He took care of everything. He took care of all of his fighters. And there will never be another Emmanuel Stewart, ever. Now I sound like Casey Kasem from American Top 40. Virgil, you know what? I'll tell you a funny story, guys. And what we used to do, Virgil Hunter's a great guy, but he told me he got pissed off. And this was when Gogi and I were both chatting with our dear friend, the late great Mike Stafford from Cincinnati. God rest his soul. Another great boxing mentor and teacher. He was a guy who was brilliant at teaching the fundamentals. And if you don't know him, he was the head trainer for Adrian Broner. And Emmanuel had so much respect for a guy like Mike Stafford. He used to tell me, is whenever we fight those guys in the amateurs, and when we saw that Cincinnati gym come and Mike Stafford's kids, we always knew we were going to be in a great fight. He had so much respect for Mike. And I'll never forget. Gogi and I were on our old Pugilist Corner show. Before there were podcasts, it was called Blog Talk Radio, and we had a very popular show on the old East Side Boxing called the Pugilist Corner. And we used to do 6 interviews every week, 20-minute segments. And Mike was right before this Virgil Hunter was scheduled. And unfortunately, Mike wouldn't leave. He kept on talking and talking. And if you know Mike Stafford, he just, he loves to talk. And he's such a great guy. And he's such an affable dude. And boy, he was just a fun guy to be around all the time. God bless you, Mike. Miss you, brother. And he just kept going, and poor Virgil Hunter's in the queue, and I see him, and I'm like, oh boy, Virgil's gonna be pissed. So we finally get Mike off the air. We introduce Virgil Hunter, and he's got about 7 or 8 minutes left in on his segment. And so we just have time to ask him a couple questions. I think at the time, Amir Khan or Andre Ward and several other his fighters. And then he gets off, and I call him after the show to apologize. And he goes, no, I accept your apology, but that was the first and last time I will ever be on your show. But thank you. Have a good night. And he hung up on me. He got pissed. And it's funny, every so often Gogi reminds me of whenever Virgil comes up or Mike Stafford's name comes up. Wasn't very funny at the time, but it is now in retrospect. Virgil just wasn't a good sport. And I guess he felt its time was a lot more valuable. And yeah, so Virgil is out of the question, my friend Blue. Oh boy. Hey, big shout out to my brother Jesus, and welcome to the program, sir. And you know what, dude, I'm going to drop the link again, guys. If you have your headphones on, I'm still on for another 45 minutes or so. Grab your headphones and join me tonight. Let's talk. Okay. Also, my brother Tycho TV. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. But guys, honestly, this is why I was looking at, and before, if you listened to last night's podcast, I was actually saying, you know what, William Zepeda, I think he gets taken to school by Shakur Stevenson. But looking at him last night, how strong he looked, and I still think he gets a boxing lesson, but I'm not sure Shakur Stevenson has the power to stop him in his tracks. He's going to force you to fight. And to those who actually think Shakur Stevenson gets in retreat mode like he showed in his last fight against Edwin De Los Santos, no. William Zepeda is going to force you to fight. Like you have no choice. There's no way you can keep him off of you unless you give him something to respect you with. Unless you give him something to think about. He's going to stay on you like white on rice. He's going to be all over you like a cheap suit. Oh, my brother, Big Luke. See, Big Luke was probably listening to that show. He's been part of the Warwick family since the good old days in the Pugilist Corner with Big James. It's time for the Pugilist Corner. Do you remember that, Big Luke? But that's a true story, brother. And James will often bring that up. But going back, guys, to, I think, guys, that's going to be a great fight. And I'm not so sure now Shakur can keep him off him. He's going to pick spots, but Zepeda, I don't know if Shakur is strong enough. Big enough puncher to get that respect. That's going to be a great fight. If I had to pick, I still think Shakur Stevenson wins a unanimous decision, but it's going to be interesting to say the least, because William Zepeda is a big, strong 35-pounder, guys. And you need to, if you can't hit him with something that's going to make him think twice about, walking right through the front door, then you're in trouble. Because even if you hurt him and even floor him, he's going to get up and recover very quickly. because he's always in great shape. Guys, there's a reason why he looks eerily similar to the current IBF junior welterweight champ, Subriel Matias, because they both have the same trainer. They both train in the same camp in the high altitude of Mexico. Yeah, Zepeda is very slow. That's what I was just saying. Emmanuel Stewart taught us, right? Emmanuel Stewart taught us that if you combine volume with power, you're going to sacrifice speed. So he's going to give a lot of openings. But once again, if you can't detour William Zepeda, if you can't give him something to think twice about, that's going to get his respect to keep him off of you. Yeah, it's going to be a very long night. Coach Gabe. Hey, man, if you got your headphones, man, come up and give us some tips. Coach Gabe, he's a gentleman who's got some of the best eyes in the business. I think you're a coach out of New Mexico. Isn't that what you stated, Gabe? But anyway, you can regularly hear him on Boxing Gems. When he's a part of the panel, very few people that I actually shut the hell up and I listen, right? Coach Gabe is one of them. Very good eyes. And he's a credit to the business. Hey, guys, I'd like to introduce a friend of mine from, it's Florida. My apologies. Friend of mine from San Antonio, Texas. He has his own channel as well. It's my pleasure to introduce the Boxing Scholar. Hey there, brother. How you been?
What's good, Joe? The man with the best radio voice of all time.
Well, I tell you what, I definitely have a radio face, and you found that out. And only a mother could love. How you been? What were your thoughts on William Zepeda? And what do you think of them calling out? And from what I just confirmed today, that's a great possibility. I think it's for either June or July in Newark, New York. Bobo and Bruce Trampler, they're both on board with that. What do you think of Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda? Does Shakur give him a boxing lesson, or does Shakur lack the firepower to keep him off of him for 12 rounds? Your thoughts?
I love the fight. I don't just like the fight. I love the fight because I've always thought Shakur, to me, had like more of a bratty mentality. Like he feels like he's old, respecting the sport of boxing instead of going out and grinding and getting it. And he I always make the comparison that Shakur to me, and I get a lot of flack for it, but time will tell if I'm right or wrong. I think Shakur to me reminds me a lot of Adrian Broner. What do they always say about Adrian Broner? If Adrian Broner would just let his hands go, Shakur throws maybe 1-2 punches, rarely throws combinations, doesn't have a whole lot of head movement. I mean, he reminds me a lot of AB. So this will be a test because I don't think he can keep Zepeda off of him.
I'm with you. I think this is going to force him to fight. So it's either going to bring the best out of Shakur or the worst. And I love it. I love this fight. This is a kind of fight where you either see a diamond created on the biggest stage of boxing or a broken pipe. But I tell you what, I love it. We need these matchups, and especially on the big stage, especially on ESPN. Okay, this would make up for the Edwin De Los Santos as well as the Jermaine Ortiz debacles on Thursday nights consecutively, right? This fight would make up for it. This would be like peanut butter and jelly, and you put it for free on the mothership ESPN so everyone can see it. And it can't lose. It can't lose. This is, once again, I'm in agreement with you, Brandon. I'm sorry, the Boxing Scholar, my apologies. I'm in agreement with you, brother. I think this either brings out the best or the worst in Shakur, and this is the fight to make. Let me ask you, though, something. He's also the #1 mandatory challenger now for the WBA lightweight title, and that is Tank Davis. Why aren't they calling out Tank Davis, brother?
Oh, it's a pipe dream. Tank is like a Canelo. You can hope for that fight. What do they say? Wish in one hand and shit in the other. There's no guarantee you're going to get it. Tank fights who he wants to fight, and that's the unfortunate thing about it.
Of course. But you know what? This is a fight that, in my opinion, look, Ryan Garcia got the Tank fight. Oscar has I never thought he would ever work with Al Heyman again, but he did, and he got it done, and it was a huge success. Obviously, William Zepeda is not that kind of ticket seller, but what I'm saying is that's not a pipe dream. I think they can make it, and I think Tank Davis and I think the Golden Boy Promotions and DAZN would love that fight, and I think they'd be willing to do it for peanuts, merely the opportunity, giving Tank the overwhelming lion's share.
No doubt about that, Joe.
So
I think
my question is, if that fight is made, does William Zepeda have a chance, or does it end like the Leo Santa Cruz fight?
that's an interesting fight. I like Zepeda against both of those guys because Tank might be the most like an elite fighter that has the most lost rounds. You know what I mean? It still be undefeated.
Indeed.
Sitting around waiting for that one big shot. Zepeda's gonna be punching while you're waiting. So that's gonna be a very interesting matchup. Also, like I know the Zepeda side will definitely want that fight and want to make that fight happen. I just don't think the Tank side will, because he looked very impressive at his last fight. They always do the risk reward thing, and I just see him being too big of a risk for them to take right now. But that's stylistically, that's a good matchup also. But I like the Shakur one better because constantly on YouTube, I'm bombarded with Shakur is the next guy up. He's this. I heard Paulie even say Shakur won a round without even throwing a punch, and I'm like, he's Willie Pep now. I guess he's Willie Pep now. like I just been hearing him. It's like they just the Shakur praise don't match what he's done in the sport. So I'm just curious to see if he can have. I think Edward De Los Santos had a very good opportunity. He just didn't take advantage. If he would have let his hands go, that fight would have been pretty interesting. But I think the key to beating Shakur Stevenson is pressure. So this will be a very, very interesting matchup. I'm here for it.
Yeah, well, look, guys, I told everyone going into that fight, Edwin De Los Santos versus Shakur Stevenson, don't get too excited, because there's a reason why they featured Emmanuel Navarrete, the human highlight reel in the co-main event, because the main event that was mandated by the WBC, you can't hang this one on Brad Goodman. It was mandated, but it was going to be a snoozer. You had two counterpunchers who don't like to veer from the script, just looking at each other, waiting for the first one to take the lead. That's what happens. This is nowhere near that. Okay, William Zepeda is all action. He loves taking the lead. That's his forte. But he combines volume with power, in which he sacrifices speed. So either against Tank or Shakur, they're going to give him a lot of openings and opportunities in which to counter effectively. But does Shakur have the power to keep him off of him and make him think twice about just walking through the front door? Because Tank sure does. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. In my opinion, Tank makes him look like a bobblehead and ends him, ending the fight almost identically to the Leo Santa Cruz fight, making him look like Guy Smiley from Sesame Street, right? That's just my opinion. I may be wrong. And once again, there's only one way to find out. And that's why we love boxing so much, guys, because the truth always reveals itself in the ring. The truth always reveals itself in the ring. That's why we love boxing. That's why we watch it. And you know what? Damn it. We need these fights to be made. I'm sick and tired of hearing guys, oh, you know what? There's nothing in it for me. Oh, there's nothing in it for me. And guys, just because we tell you, like Boxing Scholar also on his channel, just because we tell you the truth doesn't mean that we agree with it or like it. Now, when we tell you, oh, there's no chance of that fight happening. Like Terrence Crawford, oh, why isn't he fighting Boots Ennis? Well, because there's no money in it. Doesn't mean we like it. I would love to see that fight. Well, why didn't Jaime Munguia, why didn't he fight Carlos Adames? Well, because there's no money in it. When you can fight Canelo and he's offering you $6 million, why would he fight the Kazakh, who is completely avoided? Because once again, he's not a boogeyman. He's just not a ticket seller. And he's one of the best counter punchers in the sport. Even though he's a unified champion, he's going to be still avoided like the plague because he's more risk than reward. That doesn't mean we like it. That doesn't mean we want it to stay that way. Boxing Scholar, do you remember when the sport was actually treated and run like a sport back in the 70s and 80s?
I wasn't there, but I've heard.
Hey, dude, I'm an old cadre. You know how old I am, man. And yeah, dude, look, it started not being run like a sport and run like a business when they added a third sanctioning organization in the 80s. Thank you, Don King. And that was with Daryl Peoples in IBF out of New Jersey. But when it was just two sanctioning organizations, you could still run it like a sport. It was like the AFC and NFC. No different. We still saw the best fights. And it was still, promoters still had that mindset where, hey, we need to build this into a superb can't miss matchup. And that's exactly what they did. Now you can run it like a business, and you can pretty much stay avoided if you're a big ticket seller. You can pick and choose, just like Canelo's doing right now. And, as long as mainstream and casual audiences still pay for your pay-per-views and will purchase them regardless of who you fight, yeah, you can continue to pick and choose whomever you want. And I can't stand it, but it is what it is. So even though we both understand the business and we both talk about it often on our respective platforms, doesn't mean that we like it. Am I saying anything that doesn't represent how you feel, Boxing Scholar?
Yeah. So I'm more of the X's and O's. You're more of the business. You didn't actually been around Emmanuel Stewart. I just give my opinion, but I never look at it as an expert opinion when talking about the business. I always give a disclaimer before. I just say this is my opinion, this is my thoughts. But yeah, I completely agree. But I wanted to ask you something, Joseph, because this is the rumor mill that's going out now, and I'm pretty sure you would know this. So Rachel Donaire was on somebody else's show, and she basically alluded to that Jaime Munguia is taking this fight with Canelo, and the reason Oscar De La Hoya basically gave him the fight was to serve him up so that he could get Canelo back over with Golden Boy. Is there any truth to that?
Look. I love Rachel and I love Nonito. They're two of the best people that you will ever meet. But something tells me that this was taken out of context, or you maybe didn't hear it correctly, because that couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, Canelo didn't want Oscar to be a part of this event, right? And the reason why is because most people don't realize, who don't live in Mexico, that his primary promotional outfit, Jaime Munguia, is Zanfer Promotions from Mexico. They're the ones who, like everyone who used to criticize Golden Boy for taking a more deliberate pace and approach in cultivating and nurturing Jaime's career, that was all Zanfer Promotions. Golden Boy had nothing to do with it, but Golden Boy has the TV dates. But Zanfer they were the ones who were matchmaking Jaime, and they were making the call. The reason why Zanfer Promotions pulled the trigger on this event, because most people don't realize, and I told you this back in December or January, I think, that I found out early on that Canelo had offered Zanfer Promotions and Jaime Munguia $6 million to make this fight. And you can thank Jermell Charlo for it, because that was such a huge critical failure in which he got paid $10 million just to survive. Canelo is a businessman, and he doesn't like anyone talking about his fight stinking out the joint or being less than entertaining. And so they reached out to Jaime and Zanfer as early as December for that reason. And so that's the real reason, but that has nothing to do with Golden Boy. In fact, Canelo didn't want Golden Boy to be a part of the promotion here in the States. But DAZN is like, well, look, he has to. Like, you would be foolish not to include Golden Boy, who's got a great name among the Hispanic mainstream and casual fans, and who also has all the TV dates at DAZN. True, it's going to be distributed by Amazon Prime as well. But look, Canelo, with the inclusion of Golden Boy Promotions and Oscar De La Hoya, they got DAZN to put up the money and pay for Jaime Munguia's purse. That's why they have the licensing fee as well. And the fight's going to be distributed on DAZN as well. So that's the real reason. It has nothing to do with any of that. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I look, so like a disclaimer, I might have heard that wrong. It was late. You know what I mean? I think it might have been 4 or 5 in the morning. I stayed up all night. I might have heard that wrong. I haven't listened back to it, but I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And once again, Rachel is a part of this business, and she's very astute, and she knows better than that. So yeah, I doubt. I think you heard it incorrectly.
Yeah, that's possible. It was like
Yeah.
4 people on the panel. It might have been somebody else that brought it up.
So Rachel and Nonito are two of the best people I know in this business, and they are all class. And look, to be honest, and I've stated this on the show previously, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. When I first was covering the beat, and Rachel and Nonito were very, very, young, and I was, and I'm about 20 some odd years older than both Nonito and Rachel. I'll admit, Rachel was so cool, and she's such a lovely young lady, that I kind of developed a crush on Rachel. And it was very innocent because I'm so much older, and Nonito's Nonito. He's such a badass, right? And they're very much in love. But I couldn't help it. It's like the more, and I even told Nonito about this. I'm like, Nonito, I'll be honest, man. I kind of started to have a crush on your girl, man. It was very innocent. He knows where it's coming from, a good place. And he goes, well, I hope so. I'd think you were gay if you didn't.
That's hilarious.
True story right there, brother. But that's how long I've known Nonito and Rachel. They're such good people, and they're such just great people in and out of the ring. Like, they're not just the two of the best people you'll meet in the sport. They're two of the best people you will meet in life. They're wonderful parents. They're great ambassadors for the sport. And I can't say enough good things about the both of them.
I don't doubt that.
Rachel is completely knowledgeable, and she would never say that.
Okay, well, there's a possibility I heard it wrong. I gave a disclaimer.
No, that's all right. But I want to get your thoughts on this before we move on and go back to some of the other boxing news. We're also going to talk about Floyd Schofield. I want to get your opinion on this. But listen to this. I talked about this briefly last night. I want to get your thoughts. Suleiman. Now, once again, he knows it's an uphill battle. He'll never get this approved before May. But because Tyson Fury is the WBC champ, and this was a product of the controversial verdict for the split draw in the Nick Ball-Ray Vargas fight in Saudi Arabia a couple of weeks ago. And he goes, you know what? Mauricio says in his infinite wisdom, I would like to get 6 judges working the Fury-Usyk fight so we avoid all controversy. And I'm like, you think that's going to avoid controversy? Boxing scholar, good or bad or horrendous idea?
I think it's the intent seems to be right, the thinking. But why would you try it out on a mega fight? That's retarded.
Yeah.
It's like, experiment with it first, and then if it's an effective system, then implement it in the undisputed fight that we've been waiting for fucking 20 years since Lennox Lewis, some shit like that. Like, I don't understand. Like, the only thing it can do is add more controversy to the fight. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the intent is good, but the idea is just horrible to experiment on a fight of this magnitude.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right on the money. And let me get your specific thoughts, though. How would 6 judges eliminate controversy? In my mind, it creates even more. Like, even if you say, well, we're going to get 6 and we're going to drop the 3 widest scores. So ultimately, theoretically, you would think that would have the most accurate, right? But what if those 3 judges' scorecards are all in favor of the loser? That creates even more controversy.
Yes.
In my opinion, that is a terrible idea. Terrible. Look, it may not be perfect. But, and I said this on last night's show, if you can't come up with a viable solution, is there really a problem? I know it's not the greatest method of scoring, but for a subjective process, it's the most accurate one we have. And of course, Lomachenko versus Haney, boy, it really put a spotlight on the limitations and the flaws in the system. That's, in my opinion, you just keep the 3 judges, but you start scoring even rounds if it's uneventful or you can't determine a clear winner. And also, For someone who doesn't have the benefit of a knockdown, but wins it decisively, like Lomachenko did the 10th and 11th, you reward it a 2-point round, just like you would in a knockdown, giving the gentleman more credit than, so it's not the same score as the first round, which is a lot of times an even, like a feeling out round in which there's little to no action and not a clear decisive winner. In my opinion, you just implement those and it becomes a much more accurate depiction of scoring a fight. Your thoughts on those suggestions?
Yeah, I think that what you said is brilliant. I like the idea of if it's because I feel like they have a lot of pressure that they have to pick a winner, and sometimes it's hard. You don't know, like, if it's an ugly round, how are you gonna pick a winner in a round where you don't feel like either fighter won, but there's so much pressure, and that affects the overall. That 1 point affects the overall, like the decided factor. So yeah, I think what you just said was really, really brilliant. I remember one time, and it was since Jose Sulaiman's brainstorming. I remember one time I was like, why don't they do it like the NFL? You know, they have like the referees where they challenge calls. Just have somebody watching it on the screen so they have a good view, and make them like the, not the determining factor, but just make their voice more like known. They're watching it and then they give their scorecard. Because I remember at one time, like back in the old days, like I'm talking Sonny Liston, the referee used to have say. He was kind of like a judge. So, I mean, have like maybe bring something like that back where somebody's watching.
Or what about Boxing Scholar in the event of a draw? And I was talking about this last night. And look, I've done ring announcing so much, and it's very quick because they do it all by computer. You just punch in the numbers and it comes to you very quickly. You find out if there's a clear winner or it's deemed a draw. In the event of a fight like Ray Vargas, Nick Ball, in which it's after 12 rounds, it's a split draw, then you go to an extra 13th round, sudden death. The winner of that round wins the fight. Your thoughts?
That's actually, did they used to do that in like the Contender, like bonus round, like a sudden death?
Yes,
I like that. I like that. I like that.
I love it. I love it. And the stakes get higher, and it's like that's all for all the marbles. There's no different in an overtime in football or in basketball. It's no different in any other sport. And we were talking about certain innovations that just didn't make any sense from the WBC, because the WBC, they have by far been the most innovative. And that's due to the great man that Jose Sulaiman was, Mauricio's father. I really feel for Mauricio. He's got them deep, big shoes to fill. And look, I like Mauricio. He's a great guy. He's just not a great man like Jose was. And he is not there yet. And I don't think he has the same brain or that similar wavelength where he takes risks and tries to introduce innovations to the sport. One that did not work out, because most people don't even realize that Jose Sulaiman and the WBC, they were responsible for introducing thumbless gloves to boxing. They did that. But an innovation that doesn't work for some reason, and theoretically you would think it would, but this is why you said you try it out on lesser fights that aren't as, look, every fight is meaningful, but that big stage, that's not where you try something new out, right? So they've been trying over the past 20, 30 years, reading the scorecards after every third round. And do you remember back in the day before there was a shot clock in NCAA basketball, March Madness, since it's here? It's very relevant. But back in the day, you remember Villanova pulling off the upset in the 80s over the juggernaut Georgetown Hoyas?
No, that's way before my time.
Oh, boo. So anyway, the reason why they were able to do that is because there was no shot clock. That's why they implemented and thought of putting in a shot clock shortly thereafter. Because Villanova, when they took the lead, they just passed the ball around and didn't even worry about scoring. They just passed the ball around until they got fouled. And they did that, and it was so annoying, and it ruined the product. And that's exactly what happens when you read the scorecards. If Canelo has a big lead against someone like Austin Trout, yeah, he's just going to coast, and he's not going to do very much in the final 3 rounds, championship rounds. Guys, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman who has another YouTube boxing channel. Guys, go please subscribe to my brother, the Boxing Scholar, as well as the incomparable Electro Jed. EJ, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, brother? God, it's good to get on. It's been a minute, man. I've been watching the streams. I like the new, I like the new way you're doing things. It's great, but y'all need to you gotta interact with us more, man. You don't do enough of this.
You know what? I love interacting with the guys, and it's always results in great conversation. I love you both, and I love both the channels and what you guys are doing, but man, I just don't have. I barely have enough time to do mine, dude.
Yo, Joe, you should get a picture of Emmanuel Stewart and have like a Emmanuel Stewart segment. Let me tell you, these motherfuckers. Counsel these motherfuckers.
Oh boy, you know what? I'd probably get a strike against me for all the obscenities. But,
your streams a couple of times, Colin.
Okay, look, I will tell you right now, because I never can think of this, but I just thought of one that I've been meaning to share with you guys. And because I just made here, because it's cold here in San Antonio, actually. Are you surprised that cold? Let me tell you the W.A.W story, guys, if you want to hear it from Emmanuel Stewart. Right? This is hilarious. Emmanuel and I was doing all the press stuff for him. I was sending out all his press releases, and I was in his camp. And this was before Vladimir versus Tony Thompson, right, in Zurich, Switzerland. And he calls me up in a different time zone. He calls me up and goes, Joseph, are you awake now? Now I am, Emmanuel. How would you like to try a cup of the most expensive coffee in the world? They have it here in the hotel. Hey, man, I'll wake up for that. And so I go downstairs, and he goes, there you go. Let me order you another. And it is $50 a cup, believe it or not. And you're buying? Yeah, of course I'm buying. So I sip it, and he goes, well, what do you taste? And I said, I taste a bit of cherry. I taste a bit of chocolate, maybe a bit of cinnamon. Is that cinnamon? What is that? It tastes like a root or something. He goes, you have a really good palate. You know your coffee, but do you know why W.A.W, what makes it the most expensive coffee, Joseph?
Oh God, I know which coffee this is.
And I said, no, but it's really good. It's fruity, but it's not really acidic. This is beautiful. Very aromatic, fruity, fragrant. It's chocolatey, but there's something there. I can't really, it tastes like a root or something. It's not nutmeg. And he goes, no, let me just tell you. And he goes, it's a cat that comes from Indonesia. And they used to eat the coffee beans.
Oh boy.
And when there was a shortage, the farmers loved their coffee. And so what they used to do was follow around this cat. And they used to clean the beans because it wasn't, their gastric system wasn't strong enough to enzymatically break down and deteriorate the entire bean. So there was a lot of the bean left. And so what they would do was clean it off, roast it. And what you're drinking and tasting is the coffee bean after it's partially enzymatically broken down from that cat. And I said, I'm drinking the shit, Emmanuel. Yes, you're drinking the shit. It was like a bad TV show. And
that's
I just
hilarious.
Spit it out. And I'm like, damn it, Emmanuel, why didn't you tell me that before? And he goes, it's a delicacy. You should enjoy it. It's expensive. Enjoy it. I bought it for you. And I said, you know what? Hell no. I'm not drinking this shit, literally or figuratively. And he starts cracking up and he's dying laughing. He goes, hey, Joseph, when in Rome, Joseph, when in Rome. I said, we're in Zurich, mother. Oh, damn it, dude. And so for the rest of the trip, he's like, Joseph, can you hand me that pillow? We're on the flight back. Yeah, sure, Emmanuel. Hey, Joseph, when in Rome, Joseph, when in Rome. I'm like, fuck you, Emmanuel.
You know what? To be fair, though, he is correct, and that coffee is like the world's most expensive coffee, and it's From what I've never tried it because I'm not paying $50 for a cup of coffee.
No, you know what I felt like, brother? I felt like Austin Powers when he drinks out of that wrong.
Oh yeah, a little bit nutty.
Well, it does taste a little nutty. Yeah, that's how I felt, dude. Screw that. I will say this. When Emmanuel's birthday comes up again, this year, I will buy a small cup. I will buy a bag of Kopi Luwak. I will share that story again and drink it live on the air as a dedication to the late great Emmanuel Stewart, my mentor and dear friend. And boy, I tell you what, there was nothing better. Like, he was the best. Everything about him was great.
Remember, Joseph, when in Rome.
Oh, shut up, EJ.
Emmanuel Stewart was so fucking smart. He went the scenic route to basically tell you was drinking shit.
Yeah, and he knew that I was a coffee connoisseur. I love great coffee. Like right now, I've got my own beans. I made a quick pot before this episode, and you know what? I miss Emmanuel every day. You know what, man? It's yeah, everything about him was great. Most people don't realize he used to actually send Javen to the grocery store every morning, and he had a list of groceries, and he basically made out the menu the night before, and he would cook for every single one of the fighters that he was training at the time and staying at his house. He would make sure that he knew what was going in their bodies during camp. That's how great Emmanuel was. He thought of everything, and he loved fighting the best. He wanted to fight the best. He lived for coming up with those strategies. Like, none of this bullshit. He wanted you to fight the best. And if you lost, well, I tell you what, you better go back and fight him again. You better do everything to get back that fight and get back that loss, because it's not going to be a good look if you don't. He loved the competition, and he lived for it. He wouldn't be putting up with any of his fighters, trying to, risk versus reward. He'd say, screw that. Are you a prize fighter? Then you go take that guy on. I don't give a shit. You talk to your manager, you talk to whomever, your promoter, you make that fight happen, damn it. Because that's the best thing for your career, and it's the best thing for boxing. He loved that shit. He would never put up with any of this nonsense that's going on, risk versus reward right now. He hated that part of the business.
What do you think he'd say about Tyson versus fucking Jake Paul?
He would say this, and I know Emmanuel. He would say this. Well, I tell you what, it had better deliver on fight night, or else the sport will suffer as a result of it. And he's right.
That sounds about right. But here's the thing, man. You're in Texas, right?
San Antonio, yep.
Yeah, I was thinking my wife wants to go see that fight.
Hell yes. Coach Gogi and I are going to be there.
I was thinking about that. I said, if you're there and we go,
man, we'll hook up with the guys.
Yeah, we definitely should hook up, man.
Yeah, a lot of my friends live up in Dallas, and you know what? We'll make a week out of it, and I'll actually schedule a gig with my son, and we'll play live that same weekend. I know a lot of different promoters in Dallas. When I was in Red IV, we used to play at a bunch of different bars and clubs. Yeah, man, that sounds good. You know what? And it's enough time. Yeah, July 20th. Yeah, we can book a gig, so we can have a 2 for the price of 1. In the immortal words of Teddy Atlas, you can come and see me and my son play live the same weekend as Tyson versus Paul. Hey, let's do it. That's a good idea.
All I got to do now is just purchase tickets. I got to make sure there's still some for sale.
Man, when I looked at them tickets, Electro, that's for me and my wife, that shit came out to $2,000. I said, absolutely not.
Oh, dude, we're getting
let's see. It's a regular subscriber Netflix price. So it's not behind a pay-per-view paywall. But, yeah, James Gogi and I are being invited. So we're going to be there for free. So, well, not for free. I have to do a lot of work in terms of promotional and sort of that sort of thing. But, and also, well, and I can't mention any of that right now. But, guys, can you talk amongst yourselves while I go fill up my cup again with some Kopi Luwak? I'll be right back.
Yeah, just stay away from the cat stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not in Rome today.
Hey, Electro. I looked at the. I heard, just through rumor mill that Mike Tyson's doing 2-minute rounds, and it might go 8. So I was like, I could see Mike. That's perfect for a 60-year-old. I think the fight will deliver now. If it would have been 3-minute rounds, I'd have been like, absolutely not. But that Mike Tyson could absolutely do. It's gonna go by fast though. It's gonna be just like women's boxing. It's gonna go by really fast. But I think Mike Tyson could con his way into fighting maybe a couple seconds and perhaps tag Jake Paul like he did Roy Jones.
Well, honestly, my wife just wants to see Tyson knock Jake Paul's head right off his shoulders. That's what my wife wants, and if we can see it live in the
look, guys, I will say this. EJ, Boxing Scholar, I want to get your thoughts on this, because in my opinion, if it ends in a knockout either way, and once again, there's so much riding on this. This is why Greg Alvarez, and I spoke to the commission last week about this. And I said, this is going to be an exhibition, right? Like 8 rounds with 16-ounce gloves and headgear. And he goes, I don't know yet. Because how can you really promote this and get a huge audience if it's not a real fight? Like, how can you?
I don't think the fans care. They just like to care about the names. If they show up in full body armor, people still gonna show up and pay for it. I think, like you said, that they're not sure on what the rules are, but people don't even care. So the moment they seen Jake Paul, Mike Tyson official, people start flying out. The tickets are fucking almost damn near bought, and they keep going up because the scalpers got their first dibs at it.
Oh boy, yep. I tell you what, though, that's a testament to the names. Both Jake Paul as well as Mike Tyson, those are 2 big-time mainstream names. And even Tyson, 57 years of age, people still like the idea of him trying to take Jake Paul's head off. But guys, let's shift gears just a bit. Because, in my opinion, just like what I said about Emmanuel, if this fight doesn't end in a knockout and it stinks out the joint, where there's a lot of holding, Mike Tyson looks like he's sucking wind as early as the first 30 seconds. Jake Paul just kind of carries him, just taps him with some love taps behind the jab. They look like they're blowing kisses in each other's ear. This is not going to be healthy for the sport. And it's going to be a detriment to the future health of boxing, because it's going to be in front of such a massive global audience. Think about this, guys. Netflix now exceeded last year, over 230 million subscribers worldwide. And this is on regular free subscriber Netflix, not behind a paywall. So with that said, tickets are burning, right? They're flying out the gate. But what's going on with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney? The upper deck is almost completely sold out, and it makes sense because those are the cheap seats. But from what I was told, there was a stat that less than 50 tickets sold this entire weekend. The entire ringside, as well as the mezzanine, the lower bowl area, it's almost still vacant. Why is Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney? Why aren't tickets selling in New York?
I think we could blame Ryan. I feel like Ryan Garcia, with all this stuff, is making people concerned about his mental health. And who the hell would want to see a guy get in the ring? We're gonna see a Lennox Lewis versus Alan McCall thing with Ryan Garcia. Like, we don't want to see nobody. You know what I mean? You take damage to the brain as it is. We don't want to see you getting there less than 100% mentally. And Ryan Garcia is doing everything but focusing on his fight. So he's not even giving the people who really believe in him faith that he's going to win this boxing match. The people the fans that he's gained are just conspiracy theorists. They don't care about boxing. They'll watch his videos. They'll subscribe to his channel, but it's not going to translate to dollars. So this fight, I get why it's struggling. It's like, why would I want to see Ryan Garcia fight in a fight that I don't even think he would win if he was 100% mentally focused?
Well, look. In my opinion,
I have another theory.
No. Go ahead, EJ. Go ahead, sir. As you were.
Well, here's the thing. I think what the big problem is not so much his mental health. I think it's more so that if he's actually going to fight, because let's talk about the presser. They did something that never gets done. Is they talked about Barbosa possibly fighting just in case one of the other two can't fight.
Oh, Chinga. Well, no. PBC, if you notice, PBC does that all the time. And that's smart. That's something that Don Chargan taught me. And we actually practice that locally in San Antonio. And you've seen that, Boxing Scholar. You've been to my guest ringside. We have all bases covered. And if you go back and look, they will often in the co-main event slate someone who's in the same weight division and who's a contender and who's a viable replacement in case someone gets hurt. That way they don't have to scrap the event and refund a bunch of tickets.
Right. Well,
PBC consistently practiced that with Tom Brown.
Well, I think the bigger problem here is that they're not sure that Ryan's going to actually even fight. And I think that's what's hurting the ticket sales. To be completely honest, they're not sure he's even going to fight.
Well, and you may be correct in terms of the fans not thinking, but look, I can tell you with great certainty, they're not even thinking about that unless it's a necessity, unless he gets injured. Because I'm sorry, no one, have you seen the ticket prices for ringside and for the mezzanine? No one is paying those kinds of prices for Barbosa versus Haney. Like, honestly, it's still a decent scrap, but I'm sorry, man. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, in my opinion, that's not a suitable replacement in terms of level of attraction, and you would have to refund the money, in my opinion. Like, you would have to. That's not a pay-per-view matchup. That's not. And I'm sorry, Haney just proved in his last event that he's not at the level where he can support and carry a promotion and it'll result in favorable pay-per-view sales on his own. He proved that in his last one. What did they sell? 50,000? Boxing Scholar? Yeah, it was 50,000 for the Regis Prograis fight, right? So, yeah, he's already proven that he's not at that level yet. He needs a quality of opposition matters when it comes to Devin Haney. It matters to everyone, but especially Devin Haney.
Yeah, it doesn't matter with Devin Haney, but here's my problem. Why is Tank worth more when Tank hasn't fought the level of competition that Haney has? That's bothersome. That is very bothersome for me.
I'm sorry. What? What'd you say?
I don't think Tank has fought the level of opposition that Haney has.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
All right. Well, let's test that theory, okay? Because you're wrong about that. Right. You're wrong. No, once again, that is subject to interpretation. That's subjective, right? But I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong.
That's fine. You know, I'm going to hear what you got to say.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your opinion and your point of view as well. You always bring up good points. But this time, okay, let's go back and look at him fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa in 2019. That was an old man Gamboa with 2 losses on his resume, and he knocked him out in the 12th round. And I think even Yuriorkis Gamboa even tore his Achilles during that fight. So he was stationary and didn't have the same leverage on his shots. And then 2020, he fights Leo Santa Cruz, future Hall of Famer, 4 division world champion, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Then you've got Mario Barrios, who was an undefeated 26-0 at the time and a baby belt holder at 140. All right. And then you got Isaac Cruz, 22-1-1 at the time.
At the time,
he was now going to be competing for the WBA. And then you've got undefeated Rolly Romero, which was his softest touch. And then you got champion Hector Luis Garcia, who was undefeated at the time. And then you had Ryan Garcia, undefeated at the time. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Let's look at Devin Haney. Now, once again, Devin Haney has had the easiest route to undisputed since Evander Holyfield won it knocking out Buster Douglas in the 4th round. Because honestly, should he really get the same kind of credit for becoming undisputed by beating up George Kambosos? Now, I think you're kind of misconstruing accomplishment with resume. Because let's take a look at his resume. Hold on, let's take a look at resume.
Please.
Jojo Diaz, old man Jorge Linares, George Kambosos Jr. twice, Vasil Lomachenko. If everyone tells that's his most impressive victory, EJ, who won that fight in your mind?
Oh, in my mind, I thought.
Oh, okay. So everyone's giving him credit and forgetting that they were crying about that fight, the outcome, that he didn't deserve to win. And then he fought one of the worst aggressors, like a non-effective aggressor in Regis Prograis. Once again, he was a legitimate champion, legitimate WBC champ at 140. You can't take that away from him. But you're giving him credit then for beating Vasil Lomachenko when you don't even think that he won.
That's true. But one thing I do say about that fight, that fight in particular, that was the best work that Haney has ever done in his entire career. That fight pushed Haney to his absolute limit. So even though if he would have lost, I still would have gave Haney credit for giving.
Look, that was, you were absolutely right. That brought out the best in Devin Haney. Lomachenko, who everyone favored Devin Haney going into that fight, and they thought it was going to be a real stink fest. But credit to Devin Haney, he stood and fought. He took the fight to Vasil Lomachenko, and it made for one of the best fights of the year. And look, to Haney's credit, I actually scored the fight just like the judges at ringside, 7-5 in favor of Haney. And the only reason why I did was because Lomachenko in that fight specifically, and we talked about this earlier in the show, it really put the spotlight on several flaws in the scoring system. Like if I had my druthers, I would have given 2 points in the 10th for Lomachenko and 2 points in the 11th, in which he beat Haney from pillar to post in both those rounds. I would have scored both of those 2-point rounds. And I would have scored the first round an even round because it was more of a feeling out round. And that means Lomachenko wins if you just score those rounds differently.
Yeah, I had it the night of the fight because I was there. The night of the fight, I had it 8-4 in favor of Lomachenko. But when I watched the fight again, when I took the time and I watched the fight again, I had a different score. I still had Lomachenko winning, but I had it more of a 7-5 fight compared to the 8-4 at the platform. But the whole reason that I brought this up is that the reason why I give Haney more respect for what he's done, because you know how I felt. I didn't like the email belt thing. I can't stand that. But the man defended his belt 4 times before he got a shot at Kambosos. Now, you did something very interesting. I'm going to call you out on it.
Let's hear it.
You did something interesting. You put a suffix on the fights that Haney had, but when you described Tank's, not so much.
Well, why were any of those controversial? No.
Is it suffix
once again, just because that Kambosos fight is for the undisputed, does that make it any more difficult? Does that make it more difficult than the Varrios fight?
No, because I knew whoever he fought.
Tank jumped up in weight to fight an undefeated Mario Varrios, the guy who just beat the Cuban from pillar to post, whooped his ass. The guy who beat up Manny Pacquiao whooped his ass, right? So Tank moved up in weight to fight Mario Varrios. So just because it's undisputed Does that make it a more difficult affair than Tank fighting Barrios?
Wasn't there a rehydration clause on that fight?
Sure.
Okay, let's.
I'm sorry. Is that any different? Hold on. Is that any different than Nevada? The Nevada State Athletic Commission actually giving Devin Haney against Jojo Diaz and every fight since giving him the option of weighing in at 9 a.m. Friday, giving him 36 hours to rehydrate. What's the difference?
You know what? You make a good point there. No lie. You make an absolutely good point there. I can't really argue with that. But then I still think I do think that, like, when Haney fought Linares wasn't quite done yet.
Oh man.
I don't think Don't do that to me. Don't make me laugh. I'm trying to make a point, man. And you're gonna make me laugh.
Hey, are you going live tonight, brother? Are you going live tonight? EJ?
No,
I'm at the 90-minute mark right now.
I'm not going live tonight.
Something just came up. Please go live tonight, man, so we can finish this discussion. Because I really don't like cutting you off like that, but something just came up that requires my attention immediately. This is business, and this is West Coast, so I have to attend to this. But man, to be continued, brother. I love this talk. I love this discussion. Please let me know next time you get live. You go live. We will continue this, and I would love to continue this on your turf, my friend.
Nah, no problem. I don't think I'll be able to go live tonight because my health just doesn't let it.
Send me a message or contact me via email. You've got my email address. Let me know when your next live is. I would love to be your guest on it, and we'll continue this discussion on your channel, man. I'd love the opportunity to promote your channel as well.
Not a problem, Joseph. Go take care of your business. And Boxing Scholar, if you're listening, it's good seeing you again. And Joseph, it's good to talk to you. And we may not agree on everything.
Always excellent. It doesn't matter. It's always excellent to talk to a friendly face, man, and someone who's very knowledgeable like yourself. Someone who's also very affable like yourself. Always in good spirits. You're a great ambassador for the sport, brother. Keep doing what you do, my friend. And guys, I am so sorry at 90 minutes in, I have to cut this off. But to be continued, EJ. To be continued, brother. Guys, on behalf of the Boxing Scholar, on behalf of my brother Electro Ged, please go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. Guys, I'm Joseph Hearn. You've been listening to War at Week Boxing. Guys, please tune in tomorrow night and for a time to be stated later when we speak with G Funky as well as my brother Rick Blazier. But have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day and be safe, guys.
Vashon Holdings proudly presents War Week Radio Chats with ring announcer Joseph Hearn.